Growing up, the Captain Underpants and Dogman books were some of my favorites, and when the first and only Captain Underpants movie was released, I adored it. I actually rewatched it in January and it still holds up pretty well. A solid, fun film and a perfect representation of what the series is like. 7 out of 10. And that same sentiment was expected out of Dogman, even if I was a bit skeptical about the star-studded cast and it following 2024. Sure, in 2024, DreamWorks gave us The Wild Robot, but they also gave us Kung Fu Panda 4 and Megamind 2. But even though I was a bit worried, the trailers seemed promising and I was still looking forward to something silly. Was it that? Oh yeah, absolutely. Was it better than Captain Underpants? Honestly, it's not even close. Dogman is really, really good. The film follows our titular half-dog, half-cop as he takes on the many threats and villainous plots that come with the dangerous feline, Petey the Cat, played by Pete Davidson. I'm gonna be real with y'all, at first, I was really skeptical about Pete Davidson being the voice behind Petey. It's not that I don't like him, it's just that his voice didn't match what the idea for his voice was in my head. That's the complicated thing about adapting a book series like this. If the cast or the tone don't match what readers have in their mind or what the author expected, then it's going to be hard to really get into that adaptation. Luckily, Pete Davidson ended up winning me over and carried a lot of the nuance with his character really well. I'm recording this while my throat is really sore, so if I get really strainy throughout this video, you guys know why. Petey's relationship with Little Petey and Dogman are also really well. The found family trope is really good here. It's surprisingly compelling and brings a lot of the right energy to this film. They also do a good job of handling the silent protagonist. Both Dogman and ADHD are portrayed phenomenally, and their director, Peter Hastings, does a good job with the vocal performance of barking and growling. It's a bit weird that a grown man just barking into a mic when a normal dog would have been fine, but it isn't that noticeable. Lil Ray Howery is great as Chief. I honestly hope we can get him in better live-action comedies. Isla Fisher is fun as Sarah Hadoff, though I do wish they gave her a little more to do and fleshed out her crush for Chief, and vice versa. I actually just finished the Lord of the Rings trilogy for the first time, and I have no clue who Billy Boyd played in those, but he was great here and in that. The only cast member I didn't like was Ricky Gervais as Flippy. A British evil fish was silly, but his voice didn't really match what I had in mind for the character. And unlike Pete Davidson, he never really won me over. The design? Spot on though. I love the stylization on his little telekinesis ray. And lastly, Stephen Root wasn't in much of this, but what they do with his character is pretty good. The loss of Officer Knight really affects Dogman, and the loss of Petey's dad really affected him. And I like how their two lonely paths converge because of Little Petey. It's really compelling in a subtle way and not forcefully conveyed so kids can get it. This team lets kids put 2 and 2 together unlike some other modern family films, and I'm really thankful we can get good family content like this. For every Kung Fu Panda 4 or the Garfield movie, there's going to be a Dogman or Sonic the Hedgehog 3. Praising the animation isn't going to be rare for any review of this movie. It looks great. It's adapting a simple style from the books, but it still has its own flair and complexity with the 2D designs in a 3D setting. A lot of the expressions in this movie slay me. The animation team did a phenomenal job, as did the writing staff with the comedy. The lighting in some scenes is so pretty to look at, and it can be so calming to just take in any scene set at night. This is the first film not animated in-house by DreamWorks, and it still looks really good, unlike some other films not animated in-house. Yay. I'm not watching Moana 2. You cannot make me. You lose Lin-Manuel Miranda, Ron and John, and the stellar animation of the first movie, you're losing me too. It is that simple. I'm not staying for Dwayne Johnson. I'm not a level 4 naughty lister. This is Peter Hastings' first feature film since The Country Bears 22 years ago, and he brings an energetic style that works really well with the script. I hope he can return for the sequel if it happens, or the TV spinoff in talks. He was an executive producer and vocal director for most of the Captain Underpants series on Netflix, and I loved that show as a kid. So if that energy can be brought back for a Dogman TV show, I think fans of the movie will love it. The score was also really good. The end credits song by Young Gravy was indeed a Young Gravy song, but the original score, that was a banger. The action sequences had some quick, almost jazz-like compositions that reminded me of The Incredibles. And if your score is reminding me of Michael Giacchino, that's how you know you're going places, baby. Tom Howe did a great job with that aspect of the film, which makes sense since he's also the composer of the critically acclaimed Ted Lasso and a couple of Aardman films too. It does drag a bit by the end, and I was ready for it to wrap up a couple minutes before it did, But overall, it's a fun, heartwarming, stylized animated film and a perfect adaptation. Though I was skeptical when the marketing was happening, which is becoming more and more prevalent with big budget Western animation releases, I'm thankful to say that Dogman blew me out of the water, and DreamWorks, yet again, has another great book adaptation on their hands. But I can't speak for you though. Go give Dogman a watch whenever you can.